Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great. Welcome to my channel, and those who are new, a very warm welcome to you as well. Please hit the like, share, subscribe, and also hit the bell icon for getting notified for more such videos. So, with that, let's get started with this week's video. So, in this week, what we're gonna do is we'll take a simple task that typically you might encounter in your role when you are working on Sterling Integrator. Let's say that you are right now having a Sterling Integrator related version, and there is a project that the management is taking up where they are pushing you as the Sterling Integrator team to start planning for upgrade to a newer version for maybe some new features that have been released in the new version, or maybe there are some vulnerabilities in the existing version and they want to remediate that by moving to a newer version, or maybe the existing version is going out of support from IBM and they want you to start planning to move to new versions so that they get that IBM support for any product related issues, right? So there might be n number of reasons of uh, an upgrade project, right? But the long story short is, as a developer or an administrator or a senior developer, right? If you have not done a Sterling integrator related upgrade project, all right, how will you at least start in respect to your basics? How will you approach it, right? You need to know some level of information to be able to then communicate back to your leadership when you are planning for the upgrade in respect to timeline, in respect to prerequisites, in respect to the planning and all that. So with that, let's get started. So let me quickly share my screen and I'm gonna tell you a very high level of, if I was in your place, okay, and I don't know anything about upgrade, how will I proceed, right? If that is the case, let's focus on that part of it. All right. Now I know that the version that I'm asked to, what is the version number, all right, that I'm asked to upgrade to. So I'll go in Google, right, the very basic one, and I'm going to give IBM Sterling B2B integrator. I'm going to type the same, let's say, for example, all right, this is the version, this is the target version that you need to upgrade to. And I'm going to just type that and enter, hit enter. If you see, there are multiple links that have been shown here. Now I can go to each and every one of them if I was in your place. But if I have to go in one single location and then from there, if I have to navigate to different other locations, the first or the most important link that I would use is the release notes. The release notes of that specific version that IBM has shared to all its customers that are planning to move or migrate, upgrade to that version 2. So if you see over here, this is the release notes related link. So I'm going to open that and then I'm going to walk through what exactly is there in a release note, right? Typically, if you see these release notes, the first thing that you would see is what's the date. You need to ensure this is the latest one, right? So if you see, the modified date is 29 January, all right? Okay, now the first thing that I need to highlight over here, it says what's new section for information on new features introduced in this release. Why is this important? Why am I even talking about this what's new section? The reason is, let's say you are in a version lower than this existing version and your application has certain configurations, certain application components, let's say a specific adapter, or let's say a specific service, or a specific configuration related parameter that might have been impacted in respect to, there might be some additional parameters they've introduced, they might have deprecated that service or adapter, it can be different things. But what this what's new section is going to say, let's say if I open it in a new window, the first is that you as a developer who is responsible for migrating to this newer version has to analyze, look into all the new features, and then compare with your existing functionality across all your application components to see is there any impact. So you need to do an impact analysis in respect, okay, if I'm not using a specific feature in my existing version, I'm good, I don't care what's a new feature is going to come or any deprecation or anything. But if there is an existing service or adapter, anything in respect to the Sterling B2B integrated application that you're using, and you see that list coming up here, okay, in respect to the new features, you need to do the impact analysis to ensure when you're migrating to this newer version, there is no impact, there is no changes to your existing components which might impact your file transfers both internally and externally, right? So you want to reduce the impact for any upgrade. All right, now let's move on. Where will I get the downloadable jar file or the downloadable files, okay, which I need to use for my upgrade? They have given, you need to go to Fix Central. You will have a specific login credentials tied to your company with proper company details attached to it for you to be able to download the relevant uh, installation files, right, for you to then use them during your upgrade. So you need to make sure you have access to this Fix Central, or you need to check with who is responsible for that Fix Central from your company, and make sure you have the files either downloaded from by his account, or if you have an account you can download it on your own as well, right? So you need to keep that handy, and you need to store it in the file system where you have your application installed, right, in a Unix box if it is in Unix, right? Just an example. Now, the next thing, important thing is you need to look into the disk space and system requirements. So this is something that is critical in respect to, there might be some changes significantly from one version to another version, and then uh, there might be a minimum space that is needed to install or to migrate to a newer version to, and then what you need to do is look into this specific section and go back and maybe log into a Unix box and do some health check to ensure that you have appropriate amount of disk space and the system requirements, right, in respect to how much of memory and all that that are needed. You can go in more details, like in the system requirements you can check more details, and then you need to make sure your infrastructure is exactly the way it is supposed to be able to migrate. Or else, like, what is going to happen if you're not checking, if you're not ensuring that everything is in place, when you initiate the upgrade, it's going to fail after some time, right? And the reason is you haven't done your due diligence to ensure that everything is meeting the prerequisite in respect to the system requirements. The next thing, and this is the most important thing, is that you, this is like, if you see over here, these are the steps, okay. Okay, so if you see in here, it says JDK version is now upgraded to JDK 8.0.8.30. So this version should be used to install upgrade 6204. So that means there is an impact, that there is a newer JDK version requirement. So they have given some specific instructions, right? How you can upgrade your JDK from your previous JDK. So that is a prerequisite that you need to perform. The second thing is, if you see over here, they have mentioned some of the general considerations, like if you're installing upgrading your integrator to this version, right, which if you see from any Other version, okay, is not supported when fifth is enabled. So you need to ensure the fifth is disabled, right? That's enough. So there are certain, like I'm just giving a high level. I don't want to go into more detail about this, but I just wanted to give you a general guidelines of how you should proceed, right? So you should read each of every of them and do an impact analysis, risk assessment, right? Prerequisite checks, all that, right? So that you're when you're actually the day you're upgrading, right, you don't face any unforeseen challenges or issues, as long as you are taking care of all this prior to your installation. The most important uh, link that I would recommend or I would highlight over here is the upgrade compatibility matrix. So this is very important. Like if you open here, this upgrade compatibility, typically this is a very like high a good view of looking into, like especially this chart, right? If you have to focus on one specific thing out of this entire page in the compatibility report, look into this, right? What you need to do is on this left hand side on the y-axis, we see these are all the versions, that is the as is as of today, which version you are in. So let's say this is what we are talking about, 6204. Let's say you are on 6.1.2.6. Okay, all right, just assume. So I go here, right? So this is from where I'm upgrading, right? And I need to see to which version I'm gonna upgrade. So I'm gonna upgrade like from here. If you see on the right hand side on this x-axis, 6204. That's the extreme rightmost. So 6126 and 6204. So it says Y. That means it's compatible, right? If you see over here, indicates the upgrade is compatible, supported. You can do that. Like you can move from your existing version to the 6204 version. But if you see over here, there's a very interesting catch over here. Let's say that you are in 6.1.2.6 and you are told to move to 6.2. The same line, if I go across, it says I instead of Y, right? What does it mean? It says intermediate. That means there has to be an in-between upgrade, and then you can upgrade from that in-between upgrade to the final version, right? So from here, okay, if you see over here, so you need to probably update, let me see, yeah, Y. So you need to upgrade, let's see, not applicable. Yeah, so if you see over here, it says when you upgrade to the latest fixed release of a particular, first upgrade to the base release of that version, this is the intermediate state. You must later upgrade to the fixed spec release. All right. So for example, you're upgrading to 6.2 and 6.1.2.6. So you need to upgrade to the base version, which is a 6.2, right? That's what it says. All right. Now the other thing is, it says like if you want to migrate from 6.1.2.6 to 6. So if it is X, that means this is not compatible at all. So for example, if you see over here, there are a lot of places like which is X. That means like if you do a Y and X and X analysis, okay, the ones that are X, okay, are not compatible. That means you cannot move from one this version to this version, right? So it's not compatible. So you need to see what is the best path of like upgrading to that version, right? You might have to then like create a fresh installation, right? There are different scenarios within that, but just on a high level there might be like fresh installation needed, and then you migrate your code base and everything to the that version, right, rather than just simply upgrading it, right? So those are some of the options. So I hope this was useful, right, for folks who are actually asked or working on an upgrade project, right? With that, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and with that, my video this week. I'll see you on next week.